Tarellians. Homeworld. Tarellian's homeworld and first interstellar empire has been destroyed by the Imperium of Man during the Great Crusade, forcing survivors to scatter throughout the stars of the Milky Way galaxy, seeking refuge. One of such groups escaped to Damocles sector and settled on Paghera, a planet with singular megacontinent with diverse environment, but overall hot and harsh climate. Paghera remains neutral and holy world to Tarellians, where great cities of stone and marble with great columns and pyramids stand as echo over ancient and lost empire. Physical characteristics. Type: reptilian. Height: males 1.9 meters, females 2.1 meters. Weight: males 110 kilograms, females 130 kilograms. Coloration: most of their body reflects their environment, mostly brown or green. Males are known to have crests with vibrant hot colors, like red, yellow, and orange, while females have crests with colder colors, blue or purple. Diet: omnivore, mostly meat diet, outside of few fruits. Forms of communication: vocal. Reproduction: eggs. Incubation: 10 months. Lifespan: 180 years. Special traits: on average, for every single female there are 2 or 3 males. But as females are usually bigger and stronger than males, this balances with male numerical advantage over them. This creates a strangely egalitarian society where both genders are somewhat equal. Some believe that this difference between male and female births is connected to the turbulent and long periods of time Tarellians were lost in the warp after escaping burning remains of their first empire. Mutations are relatively common among the Tarellians, most likely connected to their travel through the warp. Tarellians are split by tribes, and members of different tribes, while of the same species, might look significantly different to one another. In effect, mutations caused creation of multiple Tarellian subspecies. Psychological characteristic: Tarellians are a bizarre group of people. They are marked by the trauma of losing not only their homeworld, but their entire civilization to honorless and brutal enemy. Whatever they were in the past is a distant memory. Even after uniting and becoming part of a coalition, they are still split by ideology, beliefs, and outlook on life. This caused a great disparity within their society. Some Tarellians are obsessed with honor and their ancient martial culture. Their response to brutal end of their civilization is to double down on the idea of honor and martial culture to the point of becoming a zealot. Others became honorless opportunists who care only for their own gains. They care not for faith or honor. Majority, however, is somewhere in the middle of those two extremes. They are pragmatic, yet somewhat honorable society that tries to keep their old traditions and adapt them to modern age. But above everything else, all Tarellians are bitter and vengeful species, trying to rebuild their old glory and seek revenge for all they've lost. They are, overall, militaristic society, but thanks to the ideas of a greater good, their culture is slowly changing to be more inclusive and focused on something more than just past glories. Tarellians are very closely tied with their own tribe and prefer to keep with their own people. Yet despite this communal idea of a tribe, each member is expected to be individualist, seeking their own answers and paths into the future. Tarellian society is a convoluted and confusing image of honor, bitterness, hope, and trauma, equally united within the species that is clearly split between multiple tribes. Because of how common mutations appear among their people, Tarellians are known for using eugenics, or cutting mutated parts of their bodies and replacing them with cybernetics. Some tribes, however, accept minor mutations as long as they are seen as clear adaptation to their new environment. Similarly to humans, random members of Tarellian species are born as psykers. However, they are rarer among the Tarellians than humans. Some Tarellian tribes are known to be extremely hostile to humans and Gwevesa tribes, although they are in minority thanks to hard work of the water caste. History. As stated above, original homeworld and even First Tarellian Empire was destroyed during the Great Crusade. It was the 14th Legion, the Death Guard, with Primarch Mortarion personally leading the attack, who brought end to the First Tarellian Empire. This attack was unprovoked, as Tarellians were one of the Xenos who established peaceful and friendly relations with few human civilization near their borders. For their kindness and cooperation, they were rewarded with bioweapons and even deployment of virus bombs on multiple of their worlds. What remained of Tarellian people escaped into the warp. They were scattered throughout the galaxy, some of them even falling to chaos and becoming servants of the dark gods. Some even fell to Nurgle and were later seen standing side by side with the rotting marines of the 14th Legion. But part of Tarellians ended up in Damocles sector after being lost in the warp for around 5 or 6,000 years. For people on their ships, no more than a decade have passed. The survivors exited the warp near Pakhera around the same time Ethereals finished uniting the Tau species. Pakhera became a holy site for Tarellian people. Worlds so similar to their own homeworld became their new home. Sadly, Tarellians split into tribal conflict very quickly. Old and new faith, ideology and way of governing their people caused a brutal split, where Tarellian tribes colonized 14 nearby worlds, each belonging to a different tribe. Those tribes started waging wars between each other, seeking total control over what was left of their civilization. In time, some tribes became more and more radical, part of the tribes outright becoming chaos cultists. They were encountered by then newly established coalition around 685th year of Millennium 48. In 688th Millennium 38, the Second Coalition War started, where coalition started supporting ideologically moderate tribes, using them as proxies against more radical tribes. Direct intervention would most likely unite all Tarellians against the coalition because of the presence of humans among coalition ranks. After 21 years, more moderate factions won the war and united Tarellian people, soon after joining the coalition as the full member. Since then, Tarellians operated as one of the more militaristic societies within coalition. remaining overall true to the coalition and the greater good. Joining the coalition. In 705th year of Millennium 38, Second Coalition War came to an end, and now united Tarellians joined the coalition, exiting the brutal period of constant war into age of relative peace and prosperity. Status in the coalition. Autonomous ally. Because of the existing tribal divisions between Tarellians, while officially united and independent, different tribes are under influence of different factions and species within the coalition. Additionally, different groups of interest compete, take over or lose influence over different Tarellian tribes, making their species something of shared puppet, while also being fiercely independent, so the influence of other species must be subtle. Government. Tribal Confederation. Representatives of each tribe are sent to Pakhera, which is seen as Tarellian capital and holy world, where tribal disputes are resolved, either through discussion, or honor duels, or payments. Each tribe has their own traditions and forms of governance. Some are kingdoms, others are republics, or even direct democracies. Some are patriarchal, some are matriarchal, others are egalitarian. Role within the coalition. Depending on the tribe, Tarellians specialize in different things. Some tribes are great warriors. Others are famous for their void ships. Another one for their aircraft. As such, Tarellians can appear anywhere within the coalition and doing any and every job imaginable. Depending on the tribe, they can be seen to cooperate with very specific caste, all of them, or maybe being very close with a very specific member species of the coalition. In war, they are usually employed as shock troops and close-quarter combat specialists, where their size, strength, and speed gives them advantage over majority of the foes coalition could encounter. During Damocles' Gulf Crusade, Tarellian shock troops would prove extremely efficient against Imperial Guard regiments, not in small part because of Tarellian burning hatred of the Imperium of Man and all who serve it.